One of the strangest political phenomena happening across the nation this year is Democrats actually stepping in to try to help extreme Republican candidates win their primary races. In Pennsylvania, Democrats spent a reported $1.7 million to support Doug Mastriano for governor because they thought he'd be easier to beat in the general election. It worked. In Illinois, they supported the more extreme Darren Bailey in the primary, who'll face incumbent J.D. Pritzker. Though the same strategy failed in Colorado, despite nearly $1 million spent by Democrats supporting Republican Greg Lopez. The latest example appears to be the Arizona gubernatorial race. Kari Lake is the Trump-endorsed 2020 election denier who's getting a lot of attention by ginning up fights, even with the conservative media.
I'm really disappointed in Fox. I thought you were a little better than CNN.
Lake has long been the front-runner, but her rival, Karen Taylor Robson, is now within a virtual dead heat with Lake, largely because she's been painting Lake as a, quote, secret liberal.
Is it true that Kari Lake was she an Obama supporter? I keep thinking that can't be true. Did she support Obama?
She did. She donated to Obama. She knocked doors for Obama.
What?
Her political life and career has been quite interesting, from Democrat to independent to Republican to Democrat. And quite frankly, she found God, guns, and the GOP about a day and a half before she decided to run for governor.
It is now a classic race between a Trump-led version of the GOP versus a more establishment GOP. Now an NBC News report is out with a headline that blares, quote, Trump-backed Kari Lake gets a hand from an unlikely source in Arizona. Democrats. It went on to say that, quote, the effort to call attention to Karen Taylor Robson's past donations to Democrats mirrors the party's efforts to meddle in other key GOP primaries across the country. Well, an email from the Arizona Democratic Party recently went out that thanked Robson for her past support of Democratic efforts. It read, quote, as the Republican primary for governor continues to stir toxic infighting, the Arizona Democratic Party will always be grateful for Robson's longtime support in helping elect Democrats up and down the ballot, including this November. Now, this was clearly a sort of snarky email designed to mock Robson's attacks on Lake. But guess who picked up on it? Media allies of Kari Lake. Robson's campaign manager fired back, saying in a statement, quote, just like Democrats are meddling in GOP primaries across the country, they're trying desperately to boost Kari Lake in Arizona because they prefer to run against her in November. The Democrats aren't dumb. They've seen the polling and know Karen Taylor Robson's conservative record and broad coalition will be unbeatable in the general election. Well, a recent Target Smart poll shows that the Democratic favorite, Katie Hobbs, is up 9 points over Kari Lake in the general election and just 5 points over Robson. So maybe now we see why the Democrats seem eager to try to help Lake win. But as I've said before, I get the political strategy at play here, but this is also dangerous business. It also exposes these Democrats as hypocrites. They're hyperventilating about how certain MAGA candidates are existential threats to the country, and yet then they actively help them put them one step closer to office. Joining us now is the former executive director of the Arizona Democratic Party, DJ Quinlan. DJ, thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you think I'm getting wrong here?
Well, look, I mean, I think the party committees often have a role of exposing hypocrisy, exposing issues, exposing the extremism of candidates, particularly ones that have an ability to win. And what we've seen in the Republican primary here in Arizona is two candidates that are really neck and neck heading into the home stretch. Arizona has a 26-day election, basically. Early ballots are out, and most voters vote by mail here. And so it's really in prime time. And I think the Arizona Democratic Party is looking at both candidates as, you know, the potential nominee on the other side. And it's high time that they expose, the issues and hypocrisy and extremism of both of them.
But they clearly would rather, it seems to me, that they would clearly rather have Kari Lake as the candidate. The poll shows that they have a better chance of beating her. And so that would presumably be the reason why they sent this letter out to help Kari Lake.
Well, the poll you mentioned showed that the front-running Democrat was ahead of both. I agree. I think the conventional wisdom is that Kari Lake, because she is very, very extreme, perhaps the most extreme candidate we've ever seen in Arizona, that she perhaps would be more beatable. I would challenge, though, that she also could stir up more enthusiasm within the Republican base, perhaps, than the more establishment candidate, Karen Taylor Robson. And also the establishment candidate, Karen Taylor Robson, has not been much less extreme than Kari Lake, to be perfectly frank. She's run this entire campaign basically trying to convince voters that she is the real conservative, not Kari Lake.
But if that's the case, then why not wait till the general election, right? It just seems to me that Democrats around the country, I'm not saying it's particular to Arizona, are making excuses for why they're meddling in the GOP primaries. And again, when I say meddling, it's politics, right? That's life. I get it. But when you're talking about people, as you just said, about Kari Lake, who you said is the most extreme candidate you've ever seen in the state of Arizona, I would think that Democrats would then say, you know what? We're not going to do anything to help her, because if there's a chance that she's going to get elected, that would be really bad for Arizona. But instead, what Democrats are doing is they're purely playing politics, they're playing the numbers, and they're saying, yeah, let's throw this in there. Because you know what? If it helps Kari Lake, that's good for us.
Well, I think what happens in other states where there was some real money being spent, perhaps is a better example. I think here in Arizona, what we saw was kind of one press release from the Arizona Democratic Party that got picked up by the Karen Taylor Robson campaign, and they really tried to make it an issue. In fact, I just saw a press release come out, a mere couple hours ago that was attacking both Kari Lake and Karen Taylor Robson. But I think overall, look, we have a late primary here in August. There's not enough time to wait until the general election. If there are candidates that have the potential of winning the primary election, I think the state parties are going to look at the potential of taking them seriously and starting to expose their record.
But the hypocrisy of it doesn't matter, and the danger of having the more extreme candidate as a step closer to possibly winning is a risk worth taking.
Well, I would say, at least in the case of Arizona, which is the one I can speak to, there is not a lot of difference between Karen Taylor Robson and Kari Lake in terms of their positions. It's a slight recalibration. I mean, Karen Taylor Robson will not answer clearly that Joe Biden won the election fair and square here in Arizona, where we have strong bipartisan run, really transparent elections. And she does not have the moral fortitude to come out and speak truth. I think that is a failure of leadership, and only a few degrees different than perhaps what Kari Lake is doing as well.
It's pretty different. But DJ Quinlan, good conversation. Thank you. Appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.